if you see this algorithm over here, this particular statement, this particular statement, this internal loop, it is not dependent on n, it is rather dependent on I. You have to observe this one. It is dependent on I. So whenever I value becomes 0, so we do the analysis in this way. Whenever I value I, j, and how many number of times the internal loop gets executed, that we have to consider. So when I value goes to 0, when I value goes to 0, here j value will also become 0, and this condition becomes false because here we are saying 0 is less than 0. So what will happen? 0 number of times the internal loops gets executed. So next thing, when I value becomes 1, the internal loop gets executed. When j value is 0, the condition becomes true because 1 is greater than 0 or 0 is less than 1. The condition becomes true. The next, when j value becomes 1, 1 is less than 1, the condition becomes false. So how many times this entire thing gets executed? Only one time. Only one time, because this gets false. Okay. So next thing, when I value becomes 2, in the next iteration I value becomes 2. So over there we have the possibilities 0, 1, 9, 2. At 2 the condition becomes false. These two times the condition becomes true and the internal loop gets executed. So 2. So the next thing, 3. So we have the possibilities 0, 1, 3, 2, 3, like this, and at 3 the condition becomes false, and we have 3 cases where the condition becomes true, and total number of times, how many times this internal loop gets executed means 3 times. So in that way, if you continue till n, because I value reaches n, isn't it? Till n. So how many times the internal loop executed? N times only, because I value 0 means internal loop 0 times. I value 1 means internal loop 1 time. I value 2 means internal loop 2 times. Likewise, when I value n, the internal loop will get executed n only. The continuation here I am writing because here maybe I have the video. So the continuity like this. Okay. So what are my possibilities for the external loop? This is n plus 1 time. This is n plus 1 time, and the internal loop, it will get executed if you count all these things 0 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 and so on up to n. So that you have to count like this, 1 plus, because here we are starting with 0. So in order to know how many times the internal loop gets executed, what you have to do? You have to do all those number of times, isn't it? All those number of times. So 0 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 and so on up to plus n. So 0 to n or 1 to n, in order to add all the natural numbers 1 to n, we have a formula, isn't it? N into n plus 1 divided by 2. This is our formula to add n natural numbers. So that I will put over here. The internal loop gets executed how many times means n into n plus 1 divided by 2 times. Okay. So this outer statement gets executed one extra time, and this internal statement gets executed n into n plus 1 divided by 2 number of times only. Because every time whenever we do this type of calculation, you have to see another difference. You have to remember another difference. From example 1, if we consider, in order to be more accurate in terms of time complexity analysis, simply what we are doing, whenever we are writing order of n, we are more concerned about the polynomial only, and that polynomial where it will get the difference means at the point of internal statement only. At the point of looping statement, it will not get any difference. So that is the reason why what we are doing, we are simply avoiding this also in our calculation. We are simply avoiding this also. Simply avoid this and do consider only the internal statement frequency only. Do consider the internal statements frequency. The internal statement frequency now it is n, so our function will become order of n only. Here also same thing. You can avoid this thing. For example 2, you can avoid this thing. Avoid. and you do consider only the internal statement, and as our internal statement is n, our order will become order of n only. Here also same thing. You can avoid or you can omit this particular thing. You can omit this particular thing so as your internal loop will become n by 2, and this the function will become n by 2 and the order is n, so your function will become order of n only. So likewise here also you can omit this as well as this entire thing, and you can consider only this particular thing. So our function will become n square and our order will become order of n square, because whatever other parameters we are getting in our function, they are not affecting. Whatever other parameters we are getting in our function, they are not affecting our order. What is affecting our order means the most internal statement is affecting our order. If it is n square, we are getting order of n square. If it is n cube, we are getting n cube. Likewise, order of n cube. Likewise. So that is the reason why simply these statements we are avoiding, and we are considering only the internal most statement. Okay, the innermost statement we can say. So here n into n plus 1 by 2. So our function we can consider in that way: f of n equals to n into n plus 1 divided by 2, and over here this will be elaborated in this way. So n square plus n divided by 2. So our order will become order of n square. Our order will become, for this order will become order of n square, like this, you remember. So next another algorithm we are taking where, yeah, here instead of dependent on the unknown number, okay, unknown number and our loop counter, we have taken a second variable p. Okay, we have taken a second variable p in order to run the loop, and that p we are incrementing based on the I value. So we check how that p will affect our code based on the I value. So I am taking I as well as p. I'm taking I as well as p. When I value is 1, because our I value, yeah, it is starting, yeah, you consider this as 1. Even if you consider 0, nothing will change. So you consider it 1, and our I value, if I start from 1, then what will happen? How many times this internal p value will get changed? So internal p value will get changed 0 plus 1. So that is 1 time. So if you consider I value as 2, the internal p value gets changed as 1 plus 2. Okay, 1 plus 2, because previously p value was having 0, but now as you have incremented the p value to 1, and internal loop statement is dependent on that p value. Once the p value becomes 1, it will not go back and it will become 0. So whatever p value in the previous case we have, that p value we have to consider in the current case. So my previous p value, so this is what we are doing over here is p plus I we are doing. P plus I we are doing so as to get the next case p value. Next case p value. So I value is 0 and p value, p value is 0 and I value we considered 1. So p plus I, 0 plus 1, I got the new p value for my next iteration, that is 1. So in this iteration, when I'm adding, my I value is 2 and p value is from the previous iteration, that is 1. So 1 plus 2, I got 3. So like this. So when my I value is 3, so over here, what I will get? Like 3 plus 3, that is nothing but 1 plus 2 plus 3. Whatever I have previous case, with that I am adding this I value. So like this. If it is 4, again, this previous case, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus this 4. So likewise, at some point, if my I value is becoming k, let us assume, at some point, if my I value is becoming k, what my p value will become? 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 and so on, k. Clear? So to this, at, yeah, when this condition will become false, yeah, over here, when this condition will become false, we have to assume in that way. When this condition becomes false means when p value goes beyond a, that is nothing but when p value becomes greater than to n. So we assume that case, assume p as greater than n. So at that point, what will happen? This counter will break, this loop will break. So at that point, yeah, P equals to K, because we have to add all these things, because at kth condition, at kth I value, we are considering P becomes greater than N. At kth condition, kth value, P becomes greater than N. So this entire thing we have to put over here. So P, it will become greater than, P equals to 1 plus 2 plus 3 and so on K. Okay, when this value is P value, we are considering P becomes greater than N. When P value goes to this entire thing, we are considering P becomes greater than N. So that is nothing but P equals to, if you add all these numbers, that is K into K plus 1 divided by 2. Isn't it? K into K plus 1 divided by 2. So this entire thing, it should be lesser than P. Sorry, this entire thing should be greater than N, then only my loop will break. Isn't it? This entire thing is P. So substitute this one in this one, in this equation 1. So K into K plus 1, K into K plus 1 divided by 2 is greater than N. Then only my loop will break. Then only my loop will break. So elaborate this one. So K square plus K, okay, K square plus K divided by 2 equals to N. We got like this. K square plus K divided by 2 equals to N. So next thing, yeah, adding something to N, it won't change the number of frequency, isn't it? Adding 2 to it, we will consider that N, N plus 2 also N only. So adding 2 to it will not change anything. So K square plus K, yeah, here I am writing the remaining K square plus K equals to N plus 2. Okay, this is something like adding a drop of water into the ocean. It will not change anything into the ocean. So what we will do, we'll make this frequency as N only. So K square equals to N plus K. Again, adding some more thing to the ocean, nothing will happen. So K square equals to N, or we can say K, it must be greater than under root N. So this under root N we got. So our function will become order of under root N. Order of under root N. So like this. Okay. So what, two more cases we are adding to already existing frequency. So nothing will change. Again N plus 2. Two more. We will also consider it as N only. And K more cases we are adding to the N. K more cases we are adding to the N. Again it will not change. N is already an unknown number. N is already an unknown number. If you add 2 to it, it will remain unknown only. If you add K to it, it will remain unknown only. Isn't it? Okay. It will remain unknown only. So that is the reason why we are considering K square equals to N plus K. That is also we are making K, N, and K, it must be greater than under root N. Then only my loop will break. Then only my loop will break. We are going in that consideration. Yeah, many things in this analysis we will not do like your mathematics, but we will do in the analysis basis. Okay. So the next condition, next example, you see, if you see this one. So here also I have one variable I, counter variable I, and it is dependent on this. How we are incrementing the I value means we are multiplying I with 2. So when my I value becomes, yeah, if my I value is 1, in my next iteration also I value will be 1 only. Isn't it? So if, yeah, in my first iteration I value will become 1, and in next iteration according to this I have to do the increment. According to this increment condition I have to do the increment in I. So I have to multiply 1 with 2, so I will get 2. In my next iteration, this I value, so now my I value is 2. So this I value again I have to multiply with 2, so it will become 2 square. Isn't it? That is nothing but 4. We will consider 2 square. So in my next iteration again I have to multiply with 2. So that is 2 cube. So 2 cube multiplied with 2, 2 power 4. So likewise After 2 power k, we will consider when I value is 2 power k. When I value is 2 power k, we consider this condition will break. We consider this condition will break. So what my consideration over here? 2 power k. When I value goes to 2 power k, my condition will break. So we are assuming in that way. So I'm writing over here, assume at 2 power k, okay, I becomes greater than n. I becomes greater than n. So what is I value now? When I becomes greater than n, what is I value? 2 power k. Substitute this 2 power k into this equation. 2 power k is greater than n. Clear? So the k, how we can get k? K equals to n, sorry, that is log n to the base 2. Isn't it? K is going down. So this will be applied to logarithmic function log n to the base 2. If you are good in logarithms, then you will understand why it will become like this. So if you have any doubts, I mean, you can refer the logarithms, because in order to study all those things, we don't have enough time. So whenever 2 power k is greater than n, k will become log n to the base 2. Log n to the base 2. So in this way, we are getting an order of log n to the base 2. What is my function, or what is my order over here? This is my function. F of n equals to log n to the base 2. But when I'm writing order log n to the base 2. So we got different set of functions with this analysis. We have done different types of analysis for different types of loops, and we got different types of functions and different types of orders. All those things I have summarized over here. All those things I have summarized over here. So we got these different time complexities. So whenever we are taking the normal loop, I equals to 1, I must be less than n, I plus plus, we got the time complexity function as order of n. So n I plus 2, if you are incrementing, at that point also we got order of n only. I minus minus, if you are going in reverse order, at that point also we got order of n only. Okay, if you are multiplying with 2, when you are incrementing the I value, if you are multiplying with 2, we got order of log n to the base 2. If you multiply with 3, you will get order of log n to the base 3. Okay, if you multiply, if you divide the I value, then you will get order of log n to the base 2. So these are different summaries I have taken over here for a different set of loops, what we got inside our algorithms. Okay, so the type of function and how that function is affecting. Okay, so order function, if your function order, if you are getting order of 1, when you are getting that order of 1 means if you have the constant function, if you have the constant value inside your function. So that is, if your function is something like this, if you are getting f of n like 2, 5, 5000, whatever, without any polynomial, if you are getting only the constant value, then your order will become order of n for 2, order of n, order of 1 for 2, order of 1 for 5, and order of 1 for 5000, like this. If you got if you log n, when you will get, if you have logarithmic value inside your function, already we have seen, if your function is log n to the base 2, log k to the base 2, like that, if you have, then you will get order of log n, or order of logarithmic. Okay, logarithmic value. If you have a linear function in the sense like this, 2n plus 3, 500n plus 700, n divided by 5000 plus 8, like this, if you have your order with n, then you will get order of n. Order of n. N power 1 means you will get order of n. So order of n square value you will get means if you have quadratic equation. If you have quadratic equation, you will get order of n square. If you have cubic equation, you will get order of n cube. If you have exponential equation, then you will get 2 power n, 3 power n, n power n, like that. If you have exponential equations, you will get like this. So these are some of the summaries for those functions. Okay, so now we got different functions for different algorithms. So how we can compare those functions? How we can compare those functions means this is the comparison. comparison between functions. So for some functions we are getting the order like 1, isn't it? For some functions we are getting the order like 1, and for some function we are getting the order log n, for some function root n, for some functions order of n, for some functions n log n square, n cube, 2 power n. For exponential functions we'll get these values, n power n likewise. So their comparison, if you see, yeah, they will fall under this equation. They will fall under this equation where 1 is less than log n. Yeah, here you can see where 1 is less than log n and log n is less than root n is less than n, and n is less than n log n, and this entire thing is less than n square, and this entire thing is less than n cube, and so on. So I'm not doing for all these values, but I have selected only few just to show the proof. Just to show the proof that they will fall like this only. These functions will fall like this only. To show that proof, I have taken log n, I have taken n, I have taken n square, and I have taken 2n. So log n is falling here and n is falling here. So ultimately log n is less than n, isn't it? So less than symbol will come over here. And n is falling over here, n square is falling over here. So n square is greater than n, or n is less than n square. So like this. Again, n square is falling here, 2 power n is falling here. So that 2 power n I have written over here, n square I have written over here. So this, like this. N square is less than, like this. So take n value as 1. Take n value as 1, then log 1 is equals to 0. That we know. Log 1 is equals to 0 and n square will become 1 only, and 2 power n, that is 2 power 1 is 2. So as you can see, these are less than or equals to, less than, some at some point they will become less than or equals to, but in more cases they will become less than only. Okay. So again, if you take n value as 2, log 2 to the base 2, that value is 1, and 2 power 2, that is 4, 2 power n, that is 2 power 2, again 4. Okay, next is if you take the n value as 4, log 4 to the base 2, that is 2, and then 2 power 4 power 2, that is 16, and 2 power 4, that is also 16. Okay, then take 8 as n value, log 8 to the base 2, that is 3, then 8 power 2, that is 64, and 2 power 8, that is 256. Okay, take n value as 9, log 9 to the base 2, that is 3.1. Okay, then log 9 to the power 2, that is 81, and 2 power 9, that is 512, like this. So if you put all these functions in our consideration, so okay, take xy axis and how these functions are changing, you can observe over here. Log n, it is gradually increasing. If you change the value of n, it is gradually increasing like this. Okay, so moderate change we will see in that graph, log n graph. Okay, put n value and calculate log n and put all those things on your graph, then you will see this type of change in on your graph. But n, whereas it will equally it will change, because we are modifying the n value only. Based on n value only we are calculating the remaining function. N square will change like this, n cube will change like this, 2 power will increase exponentially. Very beginning it will be lesser than log n, it will be lesser than n, it will be lesser than n square, lesser than n cube, likewise. But if you take bigger values or larger values for this n, ultimately the 2 power n value will grow exponentially. So it will increase like this. It will increase like this. So these type of equation you have to keep in your mind, and I have shown the proof as well for this equation, how these equation we have calculated, how these equation we have tallied, and all the orders whatever we are getting for different types of time complexity functions, they are falling over here only. They are one of these things only. Sometimes we are getting order of 1, sometimes we are getting log n, order of log n, sometimes we are getting under root n, sometimes we are getting order of n, order of n log n, order of n square, order of 2 power n, like that we are getting. So suppose if you got two algorithms, algorithm 1 and algorithm 2, let us assume. Okay, two algorithms, they are solving the same problem. They are solving the same problem. We have one problem statement and we have two algorithms, algorithm 1 and algorithm 2. Now what we do, we do the time complexity analysis of algorithm 1 as well as algorithm 2. Let us assume I got, for the first algorithm, I got f of n equals to, let us say order of 1. Let us say order of 1. So then for algorithm 2, I got uh, time complexity function f of n as order of n. Order of n. So which one is the good one? Which one is the efficient one? Which one is the best one? Order of 1 or order of n? Which one will consume less amount of time? Definitely order of 1. Order of 1 will consume less amount of time. As you can see over here, it is the least possible case. It is the least possible case in our equation. So we have to select this order of 1 if the algorithm is having order of 1 function, time complexity function. Okay, if it is having order of n, then we have to look for a more possible or a more probable outcome or a more probable solution, we can say. Okay, so in that way, these functions comparison or these time complexity functions are helpful in selecting the best possible algorithm for our problem statement. Hope you understood. So go to the next. Okay, after this we have to study about this asymptotic notations, because as these functions, whatever functions we are doing, time complexity functions or space complexity functions, whatever functions we are studying, all these functions are the concept of mathematics, isn't it? Functions, they fall under mathematics. So this asymptotic notations concept is also comes under mathematics only. It will belongs to mathematics only. So for calculating the time and space complexities, as functions are used in algorithm analysis, this is the reason why asymptotic notations are also used in algorithm analysis. Okay, we are using asymptotic notations whenever we are finding the time and space complexities of algorithm. Okay, how these asymptotic notations are helpful means to simplify or to categorize the functions. To simplify or to categorize the functions, we are using these asymptotic notations. So whatever, if you see this one, uh, yeah, we got actual function as 2 2n plus 4. Here we got the actual function as 2n plus 4. This is my actual function 2n plus 4, but I have simplified this function using the asymptotic notation O. Okay, using this asymptotic notation O, big O notation, we call this as big O notation. We used this asymptotic notation, and I have simplified this function as order of n. Why this 2n plus 4 will become order of n, that we will understand under this asymptotic notation. Here also the space function we got n plus 3, but we have simplified this function as order of n. Okay, in this second case, I got the time function as, I got the time function as 2n square plus 2n plus 1, but I have simplified this function as order of n square. How this simplification has been done, that we will understand now. Here also 3n square plus 3, we simplified it as order of n square. Order of n square. So how this simplification is being done, that we will understand now. In all my functions, we did the simplification only, isn't it? We got one function and we got some different order for that function. So that we will study over here. So to do that simplification or to categorize our time functions, we use this asymptotic notations. Hope you understood. So there are three different types of asymptotic notations we have. The big O notation, we call this as big O notation, and next is we have a big omega notation, and then we have theta notation. Okay, three different types of asymptotic notations. They are very, very important. Last time in last university exams, they asked this question for 10 marks. It is very simple. Okay, three different types of asymptotic notations: big O notation, big omega notation, and theta notation. So we call this big O notation as upper bound of our algorithm. Okay, upper bound in the that whatever equation I have given. Finally, when we compared the functions, I have given one equation. So over there, the upper bound. Okay, order of n means upper bound. Then see, next is omega notation, that is lower bound. Then theta notation in the sense average bound. Upper bound, lower bound, and average bound. Very soon you will understand these things. Any function in mathematics, whatever function you take, whatever polynomial equation for the function you will take, all those functions will come in any of these notations. Yeah, that means we can represent all those functions using any of these notations. Okay, any of the above three notations. Either you can use big O notation, or you can use theta notation, or you can use big omega notation. Okay, the symbols you have to remember. For big O, we represent to represent big O, we use this big O symbol. To represent omega, we use this omega symbol. To represent theta, we use this theta symbol. Hope you understood. Three different types of asymptotic notations: big O notation, big omega notation, and theta notation. Okay, so first thing we will consider big O notation. Big O notation are the upper bound of the function. Upper bound of the function. So according to this, the definition, if you see, big omega notation, big O notation definition, if you see, the function f of n, if it is can be represented in uh, order of g of n. So we are taking a different function to represent. A different function to represent over here. G of n. We got f of n function. And we are taking a different function g of n. And that can be represented in order of g of n if and only if. This IFF, how you have to read? If and only if there exist. This symbol we call it as there exist. If and only if there exist positive constants c and n 0, c and n 0, such that we can write f of n is less than or equals to, because we said upper bound, so this entire thing must go in upper bound. So less than or equals to c multiplied, that constant multiplied with g of n. That constant multiplied with g of n. If you are able to represent your f of n in this form, if you are able to represent your f of n in this form for all n greater than or equals to n naught, for all n greater than or equals to n naught, then we can represent this entire function under this form. F of n equals to order of g of n. So because our f of n in our first algorithm time complexity analysis, we got like this 2n plus 3, isn't it? Because this function, it is falling under this category. It is falling under this category for all positive constants c and n naught. We have selected a different function, that is g of n as n only. We have selected a different function g of n as n only, and we have written f of n equals to order of g of n. Order of g of n, and in place of g of n we kept n. So f of n equals to order of n. For this f of n equals to 2n plus 3, we got order of n like this, according to this big O notation. According to this big O notation, we got like this. So quickly we discuss some of the examples for this 2n plus 3, how it is becoming greater than this for all possible constants n naught values that we have to discuss. So quickly go over here and take one simple example. F of n equals to 2n plus 3. This is our first example, isn't it? So take 2n plus 3 one side, and we have to make this as less than or equals to with some function g of n. Okay, with some function g of n, by keeping in mind those two positive constants c and n naught. C and n naught. So can I make this, if I take n over here, can this function can this equation be balanced if you make like this? So take n as any positive constant, n1. So what this value will become? 5. 5 is less than or equals to 1. It will become false. If you take 2, okay, 2 multiplied with 2, 4. Okay, 2 multiplied with 2, 4, plus 3, 7. 7 is less than or equals to 2. Again false. Take n value as 10. Then what will happen? 10 multiplied with 2, 20. 20 plus 3, 23. This is n equals to 2. If we took n equals to 2, we got this. If we took n equals to 10, then what we get? So 2 multiplied with n, that is 2 multiplied with 10. 20 plus 3, 23. 23 less than 10. Again condition false. So likewise, simply taking n, it is not sufficient. You have to take some positive constant. You have to multiply some positive constant over here. So for that, I'm removing these things, and I'm here. Can I take this function as 5n? Is it going to satisfy 5n? Check that one, 5n. So now if I take n value as 1, then what will happen? N value as 1. So 2 multiplied with 1. So that is 5 less than or equals to 5. Yes, it is satisfying. So from now on, because we are saying upper bound, big O is upper bound. So from now on, whatever upper values you take for this n, all those values will satisfy your function. All those values will satisfy that function. So this we are considering it as C. Okay, this we are considering it as C, and this we are considering it as G of n. G of n. So that is the reason why we are representing, see over here, according to our definition, if we are able to represent our f of n, that is what our f of n, 2n plus 3 is our f of n. So we represented this f of n like 5 multiplied with g of n, that is nothing but n. G of n is n. So we can write our f of n equals to order of g of n. So we are doing that one, isn't it? We got like this, so we are writing order of n, because our g of n is n only. So we are writing like this. So now after writing the orders, we are doing the comparison with our equation to check which algorithm is the best one and which algorithm is the worst one. Hope you got that. So the next notation, because upper bound, why we are saying upper bound means, see over here in our equation, suppose if you got, that also I have to explain. In our equation, if I got order of n, so order of n means, here if I got order of n means, all my possible cases. Order of n means all my possible cases. Not only this n will satisfy, but all these things will satisfy. Because all greater values we are considering, right? All greater values we are considering. So all these things will satisfy my upper bound. So this will become my upper bound. I call this as upper bound. So whenever I got order of n, not only that, but all the possible, all the upper cases will satisfy my function. So this we are calling upper bound. So if it is omega, big omega condition, so I have to go for lower bound. Not only that, but also the lower bound. So this, like this, we call this as lower bound. Lower bound will satisfy all my possible cases. This is my lower bound. And average case, in the sense whatever value, specific value we get, only that value will satisfy my function. Suppose if I am getting theta of n, okay, to some function I am getting theta of n, means only theta of n will satisfy. To some function, if I am getting omega of n, means not only omega of n, but also omega of under root n will also satisfy. Omega of, sorry, here I should not write, like here I have to write. So if I get, for some function, if I get theta of n, if I get the function as theta of n, as it is average bound, only theta of n will satisfy my function. No other function will satisfy my function. From this function equation, or from this function categories. So suppose if I get my function as theta of omega of n. If I get my function as omega of n, means as omega of n is a lower bound function, all my lower values below that n, whatever I have under my lower bound, all those values, all those functions will also satisfy my function. So omega of under root n will also satisfy, omega of log n will also satisfy, omega of 1 will also satisfy, as it is a lower bound function. Okay, so next thing, if we do the analysis in terms of big O, and we got the function like order of n square, if we got all the upper bounds to this order of n square will satisfy my function, because big omega is an upper bound notation, upper bound notation. So here not only big O of n square, but also big O of n cube will satisfy, big O of n power 4 will satisfy, and so on. Big O of n power n will also satisfy. Likewise, whenever we are getting the notation, whenever we are writing under a notation, based on that notation we are categorizing our function, and based on the notation either the upper bound will satisfy or the lower bound will satisfy, or the specific bound, that is nothing but average bound, will satisfy my function. So quickly go and discuss the remaining asymptotic notations. Already we discussed big O notation. So next thing, yeah, if you are able to write your function in this way, then you can take the order of n for your function as your function category. So the second function category, that is omega notation, lower bound. So if you are able to write your function in this form, if you are able to write this function in this form, f of n is greater than or equals to c multiplied with g of n for all n greater than or equals to n naught, then you can write your f of n in omega of g of n, and mostly we do our analysis in our subject, we do the analysis in terms of big O notation only. We don't follow this omega notation and the theta notation. This is just for your exam sake we are preparing. Okay, we do only the omega notation, and we consider all the upper bound values will satisfy my function. In that way only we proceed, and in that way only we do the analysis for our algorithms. So whatever value that equation where we have done the comparison, that equation you have to remember, and the proof also you have to remember. I have given the proof also why that equation will satisfy, how I have written, I have given the proof also. So that proof also you have to remember, and all that functions, how they are falling under that equation, which function is the bigger one, which function is the smaller one, which function will consume less time and which function will consume more time, getting which function is an efficient one, getting which function is the worst one, all those things you have to remember. Simply stating, this thing you have to by heart. This thing you have to by heart. This equation, whatever equation I have given over here, this entire equation you have to by heart. 1 is less than log n is less than root n is less than n is less than n log n. Likewise, you have to remember. And the proof here only I have given. Okay. So next is the omega notation, and according to omega notation, if you are able to write your function under this form, then you can take omega of g of n as your function category. Omega of g of n as your function category, and in case of lower bound you have to check for only the lower bounds but not the upper bound. Okay. So here also we have different examples. In your notes I have given all those examples that you can refer, where we are taking omega, and of what functions we are considering them as upper bound, and of what functions we are considering them as satisfied functions and unsatisfied functions, or lower bound functions and upper bound functions, that you can refer your notes. And then the last one, theta notation, it is to the specific point, neither the upper bound nor the lower bound, to the specific bound, we are considering the function value, and we are calling it as average bound. Average bound. If you are able to represent your f of n in this form, here we are taking three constants, not two constants, we are taking three constants, c1, c2 and n naught. The function f of n, it can be represented as the theta of g of n. It can be represented as the theta of g of n if and only if there exist positive constants c1, c2 and n naught. three positive constants must exist such that c1 of g of n, sorry, c1 multiplied with g of n, which is less than or equals to f of n, which is greater than or equals to c2 of g of n. If you are able to represent like this, then you can convert your function, you can simplify your function as theta of g of n. You can categorize your function as theta of g of n. You can simplify your function as theta of g of n like this, like this. If you get like this, you can simplify like this. For this, theta notations also I have given the examples in your notes. Just go through that one. It is after this much of analysis of algorithms, I don't think you feel any kind of difficulty in analyzing those examples. Examples for theta, examples for omega, big O already we discussed. Big O examples already we discussed. Examples of theta and examples of omega, because they are not of our concern, we are not going into detail, into deep, and only for the exam purpose we are preparing. And you can refer the notes and you can get an idea of how these examples will work for omega notation as well as the theta notation. Hope you got the understanding. Okay, so with this we have concluded your first unit. Inshallah, in our next class we'll be starting the second unit, that is complete data structures concept, and over there we do the implementation of stack, implementation of queue, with the help of arrays and with the help of linked list, hopefully. Thank you very much, students.